The barrel you created in the last lesson would look a lot better with material applied to it. Materials can be applied to meshes like your barrel to control their appearance. There are many materials that come with UEFN for you to use, but you can also create your own. Next to the barrel in the content browser, right-click and choose Material to create one. Call it M-Barrel and double-click it to open the material editor. On the left, you'll find some of the basics of a material, and on the right is the output of the material. You can use the mouse wheel to zoom in and out of the material graph and hold right-click on an empty part of the grid to move it around. The default material graph node is the output of the material. Whatever is plugged into this node determines how the material looks. The easiest property of a material to understand is the base color. To create a color, right-click on the background and choose Constant, then select Vector 3. This constant has 3 inputs: red, green, and blue. You can adjust these individually or use the color picker for a broader range of choices. Once you have a color selected, connect this color constant node to the base color input for the material by dragging from the white pin. After it's connected, you should see the material output reflect the new color. There are many other properties in a material. Hover over each property to get an idea of what they do, or check out the online documentation for a more in-depth explanation of material nodes and settings. Materials become even more interesting when used with textures instead of just a solid color. Remove the nodes you've made so far, and while holding down the T key, left-click to create a texture sample node. This is a shortcut for quickly creating material nodes. Another shortcut is holding 3 and left-clicking to make a Vector 3 node. If you don't know the shortcut, you can always right-click the background and search for the node. Drag the RGB output into the base color of the material output. You'll get an error since the texture sample node doesn't have a texture yet. In the Details panel of the node, click the Texture drop-down to find the default textures that come with the editor. For the barrel, let's search for a log texture. 3 textures will appear, one ending with D, one ending with N, and one with ORM. Select the texture ending with D, which stands for diffuse, and is essentially the base look of the material, like a color. Apply and save the changes, then close the material editor. Now you can drag the material onto the barrel to see that it has a log look. To assign this material to all barrels you create, open the barrel mesh and select the new material you created. The barrel looks pretty good, but you can make it even better by using the other log textures. Instead of making a new texture sample node, drag these textures into the material graph by docking the material editor into the main editor. To find the unused textures, navigate to the Epic folder and search Log. Select the textures ending in N and ORM and drag them into the material graph. This automatically creates a texture sample node for each texture. The log texture ending with N is a normal map. Plug the RGB output into the normal input of the material. The texture ending with ORM is a combined texture where O stands for ambient occlusion, R for roughness, and M for metallic. These 3 properties are combined into different color channels: red, green, and blue. The ambient occlusion part is in the red channel, so drag the red output to the ambient occlusion input. The green node represents roughness. Connect it to the roughness input. Finally, connect the blue node, metallic, to the metallic input. With these textures applied, the barrel should now have a much better appearance, closely resembling the intended texture usage. If you notice any issues with the texture wrapping around the top of the barrel, it may be due to default material projection settings. To fix this, enter Modeling mode and select the UV menu. Click Project UVs and change the projection type from plane to cylinder, since the barrel is cylindrical. This adjustment should immediately correct the texture's appearance. Creating unique assets and modifying standard Fortnite assets like this barrel is a great way to enhance your island. You can duplicate and edit the material for multiple barrel variations or create a material instance for quick reusability. In the next video, you'll learn how to add lighting and visual effects to fully bring this barrel asset to life. Goodbye and see you in the next lesson.